Welcome to Submitting to the Alpha, a spicy paranormal romance web serial. Dive into Isabella and Roman's sizzling shifter romance and experience the thrill of toying with an alpha like never before. Join the adventure now. We hope you enjoy.
Chapter 47. Isabella. During this dire time, I delegated duties to the Lycans. Some people were to watch Roman. Others were to meet wolves from my pack at the Night Raiders Cafe to talk about Jane's disappearance. Riker was to search the outskirts of Roman's property with me every night. It went well for the first week. I cut off communication with Roman and I spied on him. Nothing was off, and I was just hoping that he would do something, anything, fishy to get Riker off my back so I could breathe and complete this mission. I wanted nothing more than for him to trust me again. Jane and Raj were in trouble, and if my suspicions were correct, I needed Riker to trust me. That's the only way any of this would work. Riker appeared at my door, dressed in a tight gray spandex training shirt. "You ready?" Outside it was dark, and the moonlight flooded in through the window. I pushed a few pieces of paper into my desk drawer. "I need to go over a few pieces of paperwork. I'll meet you there." Riker nodded his head, lips curling into a smirk. "I can do a sweep of his property by myself. Finish your work." I stood up and placed my hand on his hard chest, curling my fingers into the thick muscle. "No, when I finish, I'll be there." I smiled up at him, my gaze traveling down the scar on his neck, so large, so prominent, so sexy. "I promise." He paused for a few moments, then nodded his head. I could hear the quickened pace of his heartbeat, and my gaze drifted down his body for a moment, a mere moment, unintentionally. He tensed, his biceps flexing under his shirt. My cheeks flushed, and I looked away. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I didn't want to feel this way. "I'll be there," I said. When he left, I sat in my room. I didn't have work to do, and I didn't have papers to read. I had something else that I needed done. Something that I needed Riker to leave in order for me to do. I picked up my phone and called Derek. After the third ring, he answered. "Izzy, what's up?" "I need you to do something for me." "Anything?" "Get me Roman's journal. It's on his desk. Meet me at the Night Raiders Cafe in a half hour." He scoffed. "You want me to steal Roman's journal?" I could hear the confusion in his voice. "Why? Do you think he has something to do with this?" "Please, Derek," I said, tapping my fingers on my wooden desk. After a few moments, he sighed, and I knew that I had him. "See you there." Derek stood at the entrance of the Night Raiders Cafe, with a notebook stuffed under his shirt. "I can't believe that I stole his fucking notebook for you. You better have a reason." "Is it the right one?" He furrowed his brows. "What do you mean?" I grabbed it and flipped through the pages, sighing when it was his actual journal, and not the one with sketches of me. If he brought that one, I'd be screwed. Though I didn't need the notebook for any particular reason, I needed it to distract Riker for a bit longer. Maybe it even helped me get entry into his guarded office. After pressing my lips to his cheek, I thanked him, shifted back into my wolf, and ran through the woods. "Hey, you know he's going to be looking for that," Derek shouted after me. I howled in reply with the notebook between my teeth and raced toward Riker's scent. When I found him at Roman's borders, I shifted into my human, standing bare and naked in front of him. He looked at me with furrowed brows. "What's that?" "Roman's notebook." His eyes widened. "How do you get it?" "Vanessa, that bitch who was living with Roman, gave it to one of the Lycans when they met at the Night Raiders Cafe earlier this evening. She gave it to me just as I was about to leave. He took the notebook from me. What's it say in it? I swallowed hard and shook my head. Let's read it at home. I gazed at Roman's property, knowing that he was in these woods, probably watching us. If we find anything important, we can confront Roman about it tomorrow. Riker nodded his head in agreement. Once we did a thorough sweep of Roman's property, Riker led me back to the Lycans and to his office. For the first time, he unlocked the door for me and let me walk into the room. Unlike Roman's office, Riker's was a mess. Papers all over the place, his workout gear slung over a chair, locked cabinets that looked neat. I sat on one of the spare chairs, watched him unlock the top drawer of his desk and put the notebook inside of it. After shutting and locking the drawer, he put the key into his pocket. There were so many locks for someone so open with his Lycans about who he was and what the missions were really about. We should go through the notebook tonight, I said. I won't be able to wait until morning. He chuckled lowly and walked around his desk, placing his hands on my shoulders from behind and squeezing lightly. You need rest, Isabella. You've been working for far too long on this. I will go through it by myself and tell you what I find tomorrow. But his hands traveled down my arms, light enough to make me shiver. He breathed against my neck. Go, Isabella, he said into my ear. I swallowed my fear of what would happen next, what I would allow to happen next, and turned around to face him. The room was dimly lit, making his features look more alluring. This was my plan, and I wasn't about to let it slip through my fingers. You should get some rest too, I said quietly, suggesting something more sinful than I could ever even imagine. I brushed my fingers against his forearms. We stared at each other for a few moments, then his gaze fell to my chest. Where's your mate's necklace? I took it off. His eyes darkened. Why? I stepped toward him so we were inches away from each other. Why do you think? I asked quietly, keeping my gaze on him. Again, he paused and just stared at me, and I was terrified that he'd see right through me, that he'd see that this was all a lie. My heart raced when he stepped closer, pushing me against his desk. For this, he said. I swallowed hard and drew a finger down his chest, flirting just like Raj told me, and in a moment, his lips were hovering over my own, millimeters away from pressing against me. My breath caught in my throat, and I placed my hands on his hips, fingering the waistband of his pants. For this, I affirmed. He pressed his lips to mine, and I tugged him closer by the pants pockets, snuck my hand into his right pocket, and stole the key to his office.
You've reached the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. To get up to 4 weeks additional uncensored content, subscribe to the podcast at reamstories.com/Amelia Rose Audio. Due to content restrictions, explicit sex scenes will only be available through Ream. But if you'd like to continue listening to my free episodes, make sure to hit the follow button to receive updates.